Mark, do you think hoarding is a psychological disorder?
In certain cases, I think it probably is, but not in mine.
What can I say to that? Okay.
I've been in this house since it was built, just after the end of the war.
And in that time, 88-year-old Brian has managed to fill his 3-bedroomed semi with clutter. Upstairs and downstairs. Mainly, but not exclusively, with papers and television sets.
My 2 children, they don't approve of this rubbish. Rubbish, as they call it, that I've got. I can see their angle.
Children of hoarders like Heather and Christopher often feel less valued than the stuff being hoarded.
When I was small, I thought hoarding was not normal. When I went to my friend's house, I'd go around and think, wow, you know, it's really tidy. Wow, look at this. And it wasn't until they came to my house and said, wow, do you live here? You know, like it was some sort of abandoned house. It's just embarrassing to live in a place like that. Another Hoover. He's got about 7, I think. Part of an old toilet, I know that much. My brother hates it just as much as I do. My brother lives with my dad. My brother's autistic. He's a grown adult, but he's lived there all his life in a house which you can't move in. I don't like going there. I really hate it. I've got to be fair.
Hoarding is an issue that affects everyday life and family relationships. And for the child of a hoarder, it can leave permanent scars.
This is where I live, and it's very difficult at times. This is our hall. Might be a bit shocked. It's not fair really on me at all.
Daughter Heather moved out 25 years ago.
This used to be my bedroom. And see, I'm worried. I am really worried that this floor is going to cave in. I grew up here. This was my haven. This was the only tidy room in the house. You have no control as a kid. You don't. You know, it's your parents' house. You have control over your room, which is why my room was so tidy. That is a horrible feeling to lack control. My bed was here under the window, but there's no way you can put a bed in here now. I try not to go around there. It's the most uncomfortable place. You know, if you can imagine, it's claustrophobic. You can feel the dust in the house. You can smell it. And it just makes me feel very, very uncomfortable being in there. I want to be out.
But just like Heather, Brian is also the child of a hoarder.
My mother, she used to hoard newspapers. To her, newspapers were history. She couldn't throw anything away. I suppose I thought as other people think of me now. Why on earth are they keeping all these things? I can't throw anything away that could be useful, not necessarily to me, but to someone. I suppose I get that from my mother.
Heather is determined not to carry on the family tradition.
So this is my house, where I live. This is not a hoarded house. It's relatively tidy. It's got lots of space that you can move around, you can fling your arms around without worrying about knocking things off. I get a kind of buzz from going to the skip and throwing things in it. I get a buzz from cleaning. I get a buzz from emptying the Hoover, which is very odd. I'm just hoping that I never, ever hoard, ever, because it's a shocking thing.
Today, daughter Heather
Hiya!
Come and join us.
is popping round for a spot of lunch.
You want to sit there? We'll make a bit of room for you.
Oh, okay.
Just shift a few things.
Mealtimes were very cramped if you think there was a family of 4 living here.
Well, leave those there. We usually have a pile there.
Basically, the stuff gets moved around, but it stays on the table.
Well, we don't need that there.
I can't believe the palaver you have to go through to have a sandwich.
Knife this side.
You're
You
claustrophobic.
want a drop of wine?
No,
Here we are, Chris. Tin of beans.
I'm not hungry. I'm not hungry, really, I'm not hungry.
And do you drink wine? Heather?
Would you be hungry?
Do you drink wine, Heather, do you?
She doesn't normally come for a meal. I don't know whether she's a bit fussy or what.
I think I've just lost my appetite. The house makes me uncomfortable. It feels like, I don't know, I guess like being in a cage. Well, I'm not eating, I'll just sit with you.
Oh. Nicky, here you are.
Nicky Fib, don't you think it's a bit dirty to be eating in? Do you not like it? Want to clean it before you eat there?
Yeah, of course I do.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Dad, do you think hoarding is a psychological disorder?
In certain cases, I think it probably is, but not in mine.
So is it normal to have this amount of stuff in most houses?
Most houses, no.
Okay, so why do you think this one is so different?
Because it's mine.
What can I say to that? Okay.
The adult child of a hoarder often struggles to get their parent to change their ways.
And one day, it'll all be mine and Chris's.
Careful I don't leave it to the dogs home.
Oh dear.
And as a result, relationships can get damaged.
Dysfunctional family life.
It's common for the children to take matters into their own hands.
But look, Christmas. Why did you keep the paper?
But that can do more harm than good.
Well, I can't do everything at once.
Why don't you throw out these newspapers from 2004?
I do, but I do like a quick look at them. Bullshit as usual. You might find something particularly interesting. Gordon Brown's done something rather. What's
Yeah,
he
but if he
done?
did it 15 years ago, who cares
Well,
what
so
he's done?
what?
Corks. Why do you keep corks?
I know they've got another use. What use, I don't always know, but I know there is another use.
Here's some more biscuits. So what is this, Chris? 2015.
Yes.
So those are 4 years old. Those are not open yet.
I've had things, don't tell her, things have been 20 years old, been perfectly. Well, no, things have got sugar in and things that do keep. And no problem too, I'm still living to tell the story.
I gotta go now anyway, Dad. I can't really handle it in here much longer, so
Right.
I'll see you later.
So I bid you adios.
Yeah, okay, bye.
Bye, nice to see you. Bye.
I don't think that went well. I was gonna have dinner with him to have a few things to discuss, but it's difficult for us to get on because we've always fought, even since I was that big. But now I'm an adult and I try to talk to him, and his logic is probably from a different planet than mine. It's not easy. Beyond me.
Today, they have a rare visitor who will hopefully help heal the rift between them.
Hello, Claire. Come on in.
Nice to meet you. Thanks for having me on
Hiya.
today.
Claire is a psychotherapeutic counsellor with over 25 years' experience of helping families in crisis.
Well, my dad's a hoarder and I'm a bit worried about him. He doesn't see it as a problem. I do see it as a problem, so I think it's communication, really.
What would you like to get out of our conversation today, Brian?
I'd like to prove I'm not going medically around the twist. I'm quite sane. I know what I'm doing.
What are your thoughts about how it felt being the child growing up with a hoarder?
It was very uncomfortable when I was small, although I thought it was normal. I think all children who grow up in a hoard, that is normal to them. You don't want to invite friends back to your house because you're embarrassed of it. So gradually then, they stopped inviting me to their house. And then I kind of thought, oh, this isn't fair, you know, and I wanted to be in their house because I like to be in a nice, tidy environment.
There's something I hadn't realised before she said that then, yes, but I can appreciate that could have happened, yes. But if I go into my past, during the war then I was at boarding school, but I just didn't know other local people that I could go and see, so that part never arose.
Yeah. The fact he didn't have friends home from school, that I hadn't considered. I'd known about, but I hadn't thought about that. But all of the family had that issue when people that they knew came round. My mum, if anyone knocked on the door, she said, oh, please excuse the mess, we're decorating, which was clearly not the case. When you get to be an adult and you're embarrassed to have adult friends round, people might call to pick you up, you know, you're not quite ready, just have a seat, have a coffee, I'll be ready now. That kind of thing was not normal, not in my house.
Brian, is it helping you understand how things are?
Well, it's certainly an eye-opener to get out as angle. It's a shame, I would love to have other people in. There we are.
So Heather, how about you?
I do think he needs to prioritise what's important, as in family over junk.
How does
Yeah.
it feel hearing that from Heather, Brian?
I really would love to have the grandchildren here. I really must do something, but now, of course, they're older. They don't really want to come round and see poor old Grandad. But we don't discuss things like this, because we'd probably start fighting if we did. Or arguing anyway. But it should come into the open, yes. Well, that was a good chat we had, I think. It was worthwhile, the visit.
Yeah, I hope it will change things.
I certainly felt reassured that they would probably see things in a slightly different light now going forward.
We must have more chats
Yes, okay.
together, yes.
Yes. So hopefully we'll move forward now and try and work together to get things sorted.
Well, I honestly hope so, yes.
I was so impressed that it didn't drop into a bickering match, because I knew that there was a lot of frustration.
And we didn't have a fight, did we?
For once, no.
After decades of hoarding, and now aware of the impact it's had on his family, Brian is starting to change his ways.
I got to the age now at 88. I do feel, well, at least if I can get some of it down and get it more presentable, because I'd love to be able to have people in and say, well, come in for the evening. It's a hard life at times, but I would love to have it clear, I really would. That can go out. Good. Now I have the grandchildren in and that sort of thing. But, there we are.
And Heather finally has some closure.
I'm not obviously qualified to give advice for hoarders. All I've got is experience of being a child of a hoarder. I would just say all you can do is just offer support if they want it. You can't go in there and say, right, I'm bringing around a skip and we'll tidy your room, and because that will frighten them, freak them, they'll probably shout at you, you'll have a big family argument, and you'll probably end up never speaking to them again. If it's their house and they're happy with it, you know, why should you butt in? And it's difficult to know when you need to give them help or when you're just being too pushy.
Brian and Heather are finding ways to work together to make a better home for him and son Christopher.
Have you any ideas how we can move forward? Well, I certainly have to have some chats and
Okay.
discuss things.
So I suggest if you can pick some big things, like plastic TVs that have no historical interest, you get them ready, I'll come round with my car and take them to the skip.
Good.
Okay?
Excellent. It's got to be done. There's no doubt about that.
That's the first step.
That's a good start.